Morning, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Got a little bit of work to knock out here today before we really get into the next kind of segment that I wanted to do for the channel, which was show you guys the cars I've got right now, what we plan on doing to them, what we've already done to them, and just kind of getting everybody caught up that doesn't personally know me before this channel started and whatnot. I got a customer's car who just needs 2 tires mounted and balanced. They do have a tire pressure light. I haven't looked into it yet. It either didn't reprogram correctly the first time. We had, this car's been in for the front 2 tires. We're just splitting it up front and rears. It worked out better for the customer that way, but it reprogrammed when it left here. Apparently there's a tire pressure light on again. It could be actually another low tire again. It could be a dead sensor. It maybe didn't take the program last time, so we're gonna check it. They also do have an issue with their backup sensors. I recently put a rear bumper on this car for these guys. It was just a junkyard part, nice quality, same color and everything they already had. And it already had the backup sensors in it. So we just left them on there. Car left, everything worked, but I guess pretty soon after they were driving around, the sensors either stay completely on or completely off. It was rear-ended, so if, you know, we go to swap these sensors back out or can't find anything, it's very possible that the actual computer itself could be damaged. I don't have the tools to look into that, but I'm gonna cover all the bases that I can for them, especially being that they've already paid me in the past. But we were smart enough to hang on to the ones that we know worked up until they got rear-ended. I actually want to say those sensors that came with the vehicle, they were working even after they got rear-ended. So regardless, I had them hang on to those since we didn't know the history or the past of the ones that were in the donor bumper. So we're gonna knock out the last 2 tires on this car, take a look at the tire pressure sensor, take a look at the backup sensor. Let's get to it. I ran before I walked. The last video was an hour-long video. I was super excited to meet my goal of making hour-long videos for you guys. I do want to make this one shorter. I want to try a couple 20, 30-minute videos out. I'm still eventually going to go back to the hour-long ones. Some stuff like maybe once we go out to car shows and stuff that are out of state or whatnot, kind of big events that don't just happen here in our garage. I will probably have longer coverage of those too. But as far as just the typical working on stuff and showing you guys kind of a little what goes on around here, I'm gonna try to keep them a little smaller. Keeping in mind, still new, don't wanna lose you guys. Also, if I pump out a bunch of shorter videos, I can probably give you videos more frequently, keep you guys into this, get new people in. Once I got a little bigger of a crowd, I'm gonna try to do the longer videos again and see how it goes. So with that being said, don't think I'm getting lazy on you guys. I'm just trying to see what caters to you more, whether it's shorter or longer videos, and we're gonna go from there. I should probably see what's going on with the sensors before I end up pulling these wheels off. Just in case that rear bumper's got to come off, it's going to be much easier while it's up in the air without wheels in the back. So after doing that 3-point turn again, let's pull it back out and go over those sensors before we dig too much deeper into the rest of this. Okay, so as you can see, we have the tire pressure sensor going off. We're going to worry about that later. The first complaint was that the rear backup sensor, rear parking sensors were going off all the time or not at all. So first thing we're going to have to do is actually test that. Put this in reverse. Park aid is on. Camera works. I mean, everything, it registers the wheel turning. So that's good. They're telling me it's either always on or it doesn't work. So right now it's not beeping or anything, which is good. Now I need to see if it will beep when it comes in contact with something or near something. Hopefully not in contact with something. And because of that, I'm going to set the parking brake. Let's turn that off. That's really going to beep the whole time, isn't it? So set the parking brake. That way I can keep it in reverse. This may not be the best way to do it. This is how I do it though. And we're going to go to the sensors and see if I can hear the backup sensor start beeping. Okay, just grab something to make this a little more accurate. You can hear it beeping right now, just me standing here. That's beeping. That one's beeping. That one's beeping. And that one's beeping. So they're all working as they should. Let's verify this. Let's see what it does when I back up in real life. Okay, so it's registering that. Should get more frequent as I get closer. Yep, it's working. Go forward again. It's just picking up my garage door surround right now. So in that case, we're going to get a hold of the customer and see, just to clarify what it's actually doing, because right now it's working perfect. So I just talked to the customer. It wasn't in fact the parking sensors, the backup sensors that was giving them the issue. It was the blind spot monitoring. It may actually be tied into those sensors. So we just got communication crossed there. But basically we're going to take it for a quick test drive. Make sure the sensors turn on both mirrors when we have a car in our blind spot. Apparently it's just the passenger side one giving us an issue, but I just want to verify it before I start tearing stuff apart. As you saw, the backup sensors, parking sensors, they all worked. So we're just going to go take it for a quick drive and see what happens with the blind spot monitoring sensors. Now what we're going to want to see is when there's a car in my blind spot, there should be a little light that turns on right there. Same spot in the passenger side mirror. So that right there is what we want to see, that orange light. I drive away and the car is out of my blind spot and the light is off. So driver's side seems to be working. So sure enough, that light is not kicking on. Passing a couple cars. Yeah, so that passenger side light is not turning on. So we're gonna go look at that rear sensor. Even though the parking sensor is working, apparently it uses that sensor for the blind spot monitoring. So that's where we're gonna start looking first. And not even a flicker. Now you're the easy one. So we'll get out our scan tool and see what's going on with these sensors too. That sensor's good. 36 pounds. Oh, that one's good. 36 pounds. Thought I wasn't going to scan. That one scans. 28 pounds. Might be the issue. Oh, you have a donut on there. This one has air in it still. My buddy just took it off his wife's car because, well, I'll show you in a second. Oh, scanned the wrong one, but. So that one's scanned. We're not reprogramming, so it doesn't matter now. That one's scanned at 26 pounds. So, one of two things could be setting this light off. It could be that tire that's 28 pounds. Could be the fact that they have the donut on the vehicle and it's not seeing the sensor rotate, so it's not waking the sensor up and sending the sensor information to the computer. My buddy did say that that light's been on for a minute before he even took this tire off. So I'm assuming it's that one that's at 28 pounds. Now, you can see it. This calls for 36 pounds. So 28 pounds definitely will set off a low tire sensor. We'll just have to see. The good thing we know is all the sensors are working. If it's a dead sensor, then it's a little more work. Well, the reason my buddy took this off the car, see how it's starting to separate right here? So we're replacing this one, replacing the passenger side. While we're in there, I'm going to take a look at, Jesus, that's dirty. I'm going to take a look at the passenger side parking sensor while we're in there too. And when we're all said and done, tire pressure light should be off. New tires will be on. Hopefully that sensor works correctly. It does work when you're parking and backing up, but it's not sending the signal to the passenger side blind spot monitor. So hopefully that all works. Like I said, he did keep the old sensors just because I thought something like this may happen. So I have the harness that originally came on this vehicle with the sensors. So we're gonna swap one of these guys in since we know these all worked before they got hit, and see if maybe the donor bumper just had a bad sensor in it. Like I said, I've already been in here before. I replaced this bumper for these guys a month or so ago. So this should all come apart pretty easy. You can, I don't know if it picks it up, but that fender liner is actually still damaged. It's enough to hold everything together though. The customer wasn't too worried. So I'm simply gonna just pull this back and swap out that one sensor before we put our wheel back on. And we're gonna see if that makes the blind spot monitor work the way it's supposed to. Trying to avoid removing the whole bumper. All I have to get to is this guy right here. So hopefully this allows me to pull it back enough to make this a rather quick procedure. It looks like I can get in here just enough to pull that sensor off. Alright, got it popped out. Old sensor out. Original sensor, not new sensor, but original sensor to the vehicle is going and that's reinstalled. Hopefully that's all that's needed. Slap it back together, put the wheels back on, take it for a test drive, make sure everything works, make sure the tire pressure sensors aren't going off anymore, and this one will be good to go. Well, tire pressure light turned off, so that's the first good sign. Now let's see if I can get next to some traffic and look to see if that blind spot monitor comes on or not. Well, I still don't think it's working.
Emotional damage.
Still no light turning on. So, all that could possibly mean is somehow we're 2 for 2 on bad sensors, which I doubt that's the case. Those sensors worked fine originally. Or there's an issue with the computer for the system. That module or computer sits right in the passenger side of the rear bumper, which is where this car got hit. I have no way of diagnosing that, but this pretty much just leads me to believe that that's where the problem is. So as far as me helping my buddy out, not a whole lot more I can do aside from telling him it's not that sensor. The parking sensor portion of it works, but it doesn't register the blind spot monitoring for the passenger side. So at this point, it's going to be probably in the dealer's hands or a shop that has the tool that allows you to check that module out. Even if you just replace that module, from what I've been able to dig up, you still have to program it. It is VIN specific, so you can't just go buy one of those out of the junkyard and toss it in and have it work. So I'm going to do a little more digging around for them, but at this point, tires are on. Also, the tire pressure light is off, so it wasn't a tire pressure sensor, it was simply just a low tire. Well, I'm going to get this back to them. Now I was driving around, obviously you just saw the video, that parking sensor, or sorry, blind spot monitor wasn't working. I was talking to my buddy Dino, telling him, hey, I can't get it to work. It's not those sensors in the back. It's got to go to a dealership or something. And while I was typing that to him in a text message, it just hit me. I just had a weird feeling that it doesn't use those backup sensors or parking sensors like I read online. Those work fine, as you saw. It just, something was weird about it. So I started thinking again and just had one of those moments where like something just clicks out of nowhere. And I remember his computer, we thought this was the module for the parking sensors and the blind spot monitoring. It just hit me that this has got to be something more than that. And the more and more I thought about it, that blind spot monitor has got to be radar or sonar or something other than just these backup sensors. And in thinking that, I just kind of, it clicked. There's got to be a right and a left, obviously, for the sensors. And it's got to be radar or sonar. We used to use those when we were building car washes, and that's literally what would track the car coming under certain components of the car wash. And it just made way more sense than these backup sensors being what tells you where the blind spots are. So, sorry, kind of rambling, just trying to explain kind of what was going on in my head thinking this. I decided to pull the bumper. I wanted to look one more time. There was, in fact, RH, or right hand, marked on that, what I thought was a computer module, and I figured this has got to be a sensor. It's got to be what I'm thinking it needs to have. Doing the math in my head, that would make sense why there's no message on the dash saying that there's an issue with the blind spot monitoring system. The fact that it's just hanging there, it's not pointing outwards. That sensor's got to point one way or another to pick something up. It can't just read all around it. Well, the fact that it's essentially pointing at the ground is why it's never picking a car up over there. And I'm sure hitting bumps and stuff, it probably moves around. It's just zip tied in place right now by the connector, not even the whole unit. So it's not stationary. It can move around. But when it hits a bump and moves, it's probably picking up his own car. And that's why sometimes, like, I believe his wife Mel was saying that the light's always on for no reason. Well, if that sensor's facing the car, of course it's going to be on. It thinks there's a car in the blind spot. So what I wanted to do was pull the bumper, see if there was a sensor on the driver's side also, and orientate the passenger side the same way, slap everything back together, and see if it starts picking up cars. So in pulling the bumper off, I noticed there is, in fact, another module, or what I believe to be some kind of radar sensor that picks up the cars. So you see this little bracket, that got destroyed when this car got in the accident. So the other side's just hanging there. So what I'm gonna do now, I gotta find a way, I'll probably just 3M tape it or something, find a way to mount the other sensor just like that. I almost guarantee you it's gonna start working. So fingers crossed. All right, so I got the double side tape on there. I made sure that this is the way it's supposed to go. Cleaned off the inside of the bumper. We're gonna warm this up with a heat gun and stick that on there just like that and assemble the bumper back together. All right, the sensor, what I hope is the sensor is on. It is on there super good. It's held on with a lot of very strong tape. I mean, that stuff literally holds molding to the side of cars for the entire lifetime of the car. It'll hold a sensor in here. Worst case, if it doesn't, we just need to get that bracket that got destroyed. You can still see parts of it there. But I think this is going to be it. Let's slap it back together and see if it worked. This has got to work. We're testing it right now. Obviously, the car is back together. God damn, it is bright out. It's got to work. I mean, the more and more I thought about it, it just made sense. Pure luck. I mean, the only way I figured this out had nothing to do with me ever working with something like this on a car. I couldn't find anything on Google. Even after I thought what I did think was the issue, I tried Googling a very specific, like, you know, big search as far as like it having a radar or sonar sensor or where are my sensors located, anything like that. Everything just kept kind of just saying rear bumper, and a lot of people saying it was those sensors that did the parking and whatnot too. Technically what I think might be the sensor is in the rear bumper, so it might have just been vague, or I may have just been comprehending it wrong. So it's got to be it. Got to be it. So we're going to try this out coming up on the highway now and see what happens. Driver's side works perfectly fine at a stop. Passenger side isn't working at a stop, but it is working. It's picking up cars as they're coming up in my blind spot. I'm driving, so I haven't been able to get every one of them, but it did work. So it's literally picking up the wall next to me. Watch as the wall disappears, the light turns off. I don't think it likes being mounted directly on the bumper. See if it picks these cars up. Yep, it picks those up. But it's almost like when a car is in my normal blind spot, it's too close to the sensor and it doesn't like it. So the sensor's working. It's gotta just be that bracket now. We have the sensor facing the right way. It's not giving me false readings. It is picking stuff up next to me. I think we just need that bracket. It must not like being put directly on the bumper. Very similar to those parking and backup sensors. I noticed if I put my hand right on them, it doesn't pick it up right away, but if I, put it a little bit of ways, it reads perfect. I'm wondering if this is kind of the same. I'm gonna basically just suggest to my buddy that we get that bracket and throw it on there, and it should work fine then. I mean, it's 90% working how it should right now, so this is good. Well, with how long that took, it always goes that way. I don't think we're gonna get to showing all the vehicles today. Once again, trying to keep it a shorter episode for you guys instead of making it an hour. So I think we're gonna end this one off here, and we'll have another short one shortly after. Jesus, I hate how that sounds. We'll have another short one soon after this one, and that will be kind of like, showing what I have in the driveway, what projects are coming up, tell you a little bit about some of our cars, maybe let you know what's coming up in other episodes and whatnot. But I'm not going to combine too much in these episodes right now, just to, get longer episodes out of them. We're going to separate them a little more, so more frequent releasing of videos then probably, and something that's a little bit easier to watch until we really get some of the, the diehard group in that wants to sit down for an hour and watch something. So thanks again for watching it. Feel free, comment down below. Let me know if you have any input on this. If you liked the shorter episode. Still looking to see what people want to see in my videos. Any kind of feedback. Do I suck at this so far? Is it actually turning out pretty good? Be brutally honest. This isn't, like I said, this isn't what I'm doing for a living. So you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm just trying to put this out there and see what happens from it. Well, thanks again, and look forward to another short video coming out soon after this one. That'll be probably just a walk around of everything, all the cars and vehicles. Thanks again for watching.